Hi, my name's Joe Brewer, and I'm excited to share with you our vision for 2026 in the Design School for Regenerating Earth. To give you a little bit of a feeling for what we'll be doing in 2026, we should start with some historical context for what came before, which goes back to in 2020 when Earth Regenerators was born, which was a community network that I founded around the manuscript of my book, The Design Pathway for Regenerating Earth. And for several years, we gathered with thousands of people to explore this design pathway and really cultivate a deep understanding of what it means to regenerate the planet as a whole. And then in 2023, with my partner, Penny Heipel, we co-founded the Design School for Regenerating Earth in March of 2023. And we made a transition from exploring the design pathway into how do we live into this design pathway. And this included that Penny and I traveled to many different places to engage in bioregional activations, on the ground community gatherings to catalyze conversations about what it would mean to regenerate the earth in their local place. Now, because the design school is such an unusual entity that we've created, that when we hosted the first 3 learning journeys, the very first one was to ask the question, what is the design school? And how can there be this blend of online learning and on the ground organizing, the mobilization of governance, of collaborative frameworks, of learning exchanges, of financial resources, of many different things. So we hosted a 6-month learning journey in 2023 called What is the Design School? And this was followed in 2024 with a 6-month learning journey called Birthing of Bioregional Learning Centers, which included many of our members in different parts of the world starting to set up actual bioregional learning ecosystems in their local places. And then our learning journey of 2025 was about how to organize your bioregion, where we invited a much larger membership as our community grew to explore what does it mean to be bioregional, what is bioregional imagination, how do you organize within landscapes of ecology, culture, geology, and climate. And this included providing seed funding for members of our network to organize in their own bioregions through what we call design immersions. So all of this work from 2023 to 2025 was the time of building a planetary network of bioregions with members of the design school, as well as with people doing this work in the larger world in general. So that's the context of the design school itself, but our planetary context for this learning journey and for this vision for 2026 is deeply grounded in a reality that we must deal with, which is that starting around 1900 and accelerating rapidly around 1950 with the Green Revolution, the human population has exploded from less than 1 billion members to more than 8 billion, causing us to cross planetary tipping points and enter into ecological overshoot at the planetary scale. Such that in the second half of this century, we're going to experience the composting of dying systems at all scales with the possibility of human extinction. And so the purpose of the Design School for Regenerating Earth sits within this context. Our purpose is to cultivate an understanding of what it means to be an Earth regenerator and to plant seeds for bioregional regeneration across an increasingly robust planetary network of bioregions, and to build this up during the time of overshoot and collapse of the dying human systems. So one of the things that's really important is the complexity of this is so great that no one actually knows what the world will be like on the other side. But our purpose in the design school is to somehow contribute to regenerating the Earth during the most intense period of systemic collapse, which is just beginning now in the middle half of this decade, and to somehow have humans on the other side, along with millions of other species that are currently at risk of going extinct. So this is our big picture challenge of the work that we do within the Design School for Regenerating Earth. So then, in that planetary context, what is the role of the design school? And here I want to give a time frame from 2020, when Earth Regenerators began, and when the Design Pathway for Regenerating Earth book was written, and show how we move from 2020 to 2030. The role of the design school is to do several things at once. One is to hold a coherent narrative what does it mean to regenerate the Earth at all necessary scales? And to do that while growing a planetary network of place-based and bioregional organizing that is related to the regeneration of the Earth. And through that planetary network to support learning exchanges within and between those bioregions across this planetary network, and do so in a way that grows the capacities for local teams to do their own organizing and their own regenerative work. And all of that is held coherent by integrating this planetary network of place-based activities with planetary processes, with the movement of air and water, the changing of the storm tracks and the jet streams, the increasing intensity of extreme weather events, the melting of mountain glaciers, and all of the other planetary processes that are unfolding during this unique time in planetary history. So with that said, what is our focus in the Design School for Regenerating Earth in 2026? We have two key focus areas that fit together like a hand inside of a glove. One is to steward the planetary network of bioregions to help sustain it and increase its capacities throughout the next year. And to do this while weaving through processes of social and ecological collapse that are intensifying everywhere on the planet right now as we, as a planetary network, move toward the regeneration of the Earth. So let's look at this in a little more detail. What are we doing to steward the planetary network of bioregions? The answer is a lot, because we have a lot of members in the design school and they're in many different places. So one of the things that we have cultivated in the first 3 years of the design school is that there are many different member-led community spaces. Here are some examples of some of the community spaces led by our members right now. Some of our members are participating in a permaculture design course that is related to bioregional regeneration. There is Metachrysalis, which is a way of doing alternative reality gaming to grapple with the complexity of each local place. Story Moss, which is harvesting and sharing stories of regeneration across the planetary network. The Water Temple for people who are stewards of sacred headwaters communities and who work with watersheds around the world, and many more. The idea is that our planetary network of bioregions is actually hosted by members of the design school, and through the design school's online platform, we host many different community spaces. But also, we have a lot of self-guided learnings because we have all of the previous learning journeys, not just from the design school, but also the 6 learning journeys that took place during Earth Regenerators. We've had more than 30 regenerative finance labs. We've recently been hosting Earth Regeneration and Practice sessions, and a lot more. Literally, there are hundreds and hundreds of self-guided learning materials organized into a knowledge commons within the design school community, which we continually refine and improve how people can access and navigate that knowledge. So members of our planetary network can do self-guided learning through a huge wealth of learning materials. And this year, we constituted a set of place-based hubs, which grew out of place-based organizing during our 2-year period of bioregional organizing, and then strengthened and evolved and expanded during the last 2 years of learning journeys. In these place-based hubs, a lot of things happened. Members of our community can host spaces for local organizing that are free and open to the public. So in their local place, they can invite local community members to organize within their place-based hubs. And then they can have immersive events and experiences within their local on-the-ground communities. And they can engage in learning exchanges within their places, but also between places across the planetary network through bioregional updates in the design school and other opportunities that we host within this community. All of this is to say that we steward the planetary network of bioregions by deeply sustaining this fabric of social interactions that take place in many different forms among our members across a planetary community of practice, which is what the design school is at its core, is we are a community of practice of Earth regenerators, learning how to organize in our local places and sustain learning exchanges among us. So in 2026, we're going to continue to steward all of these activities. Then what does it mean to weave this planetary network of Earth regeneration through collapse toward Earth regeneration? And this is where I want to make a couple of basic points. First is that the collapse of the Earth's biosphere and its integrity began for the planet before any of us alive today were born. It is a decade, you could even say multi-century process, and we are already in the middle of it. Everyone alive today was born into the middle of a process of planetary scale breakdown and collapse. And now, all of those collapse processes in social systems, political systems, economic systems, ecological systems, we're entering a phase where all of those collapse processes are intensifying and accelerating. We're entering a phase of increasing extremes. And this planetary scale web of collapse will also last longer than any of us here will live. It will not be finished after we're dead. So when we talk about weaving the regeneration of the Earth through collapse, it's based in this very realistic understanding of where we are in this present moment. And this is what leads us to the next learning journey, our learning journey for 2026, which we're actually very excited about. Our learning journey for 2026 is called Regenerating the Earth Through Collapse. So we're going to explore how do we hold the coherence of placing the care of life in the center of our actions as all of the collapse processes that are now impacting people all over the world intensify and accelerate all around us. And this will be our focus in the learning journey in 2026. So what do I mean by regeneration through collapse? Notice how it's not regeneration to avoid collapse. Well, that's because collapse already started a long time ago. If you look at the global ecological footprint, you can see that we have been in planetary scale ecological overshoot since 1970 for more than half a century. And that is why, according to the Stockholm Resilience Center and other studies, we've already crossed 7 of 9 planetary boundaries that define a safe operating space for humanity, and we are moving through tipping points of the Earth system every year now. And at the same time, in human, social, economic, and political systems, we're in a time of extreme wealth inequality and institutional capture by less than 1% of the human population, a kind of technocratic fascist elite that is trying to claim and grab the last of the Earth's resources by enslaving the rest of us. And this is the collapse of social cohesion, the collapse of political systems, the collapse of democracy, the collapse of economics. All of this is happening and has been happening for a long time. Add to that we're in a meta crisis, which is a crisis of discernment, where people can no longer make sense of what is happening because of the extreme complexities and the rapid pace of change as we're living through this time of collapse that we're already in the middle of. In a sense, to make things even worse, or at least to name it clearly, a logic of extraction dominates all sectors of human activity at all scales. Whether you're in a local municipal process, a regional planning process, a national government, or dealing with the planetary predicament of biodiversity or climate change, an extractive logic dominates in all sectors. Yet somehow, we need to realign humanity with the living systems of the Earth. And this is what we mean by regeneration through collapse. We have no delusion that we're going to stop a collapse that is artificially placed in the future. We recognize that it began before we're born, we're in the middle of it now, and as we live through the intensifying times of collapse, somehow we have to engage in regeneration. And that is what this learning journey is going to explore. So our timeline for the learning journey is this. We like to use natural cycles of the Earth to guide how we work. So we'll be beginning and ending on the equinoxes, which means this learning journey will begin in March and will end in September. And it's divided into 2 phases, phase 1 and phase 2. In phase 1, we will lay the groundwork for exploring what it means to regenerate the Earth through collapse through 5 cycles, which are 2-week cycles of bi-weekly webinars, community calls for participants of the learning journey, and integration sessions. The webinars will explore basic concepts and create a shared understanding of the context we're working in. The community calls will be a gathering place of Zoom sessions from participants in the learning journey to explore these themes together in small group breakouts. And the integration sessions will be for helping people to process and integrate the difficult feelings and the overwhelming information that they're being exposed to strengthen their relationships to themselves, to each other, and to the information that they're dealing with. So the first half of the learning journey, for a period of about 2.5 months, will be laying the groundwork for what it means to regenerate the Earth through collapse. And then in the second half of the learning journey, we'll shift to 5 cycles of design practice, where we will explore case studies and real-world practices, as well as what is the lived experience of living through collapse while trying to help regenerate the Earth. And we'll explore this starting in June and moving through beginning of September. And we're going to break up these online learning spaces with 2 periods of immersive real-world experience so that we get offline and get into real-world practice. And I'll talk more about what that looks like and what we're doing there in a moment. But basically what this means is our learning journey will be about weaving across a planetary network that we have now been building for several years, where we seed consciousness and capacity within each local place where participants of the learning journey live and attempt to engage in regenerative work. And we will ground all of this into those place-based practices through the thematic work of the online sessions and immersive experiences in real-world contexts. We can do this because for the last 3 years, we have been gathering members from all over the world, and members of the design school currently reside on 5 different continents. Most of our members are people who feel isolated and alone in their local contexts, and they find the others by joining the design school and coming into personal relationship with other members of the school, which is one of the most valuable things that we do in the design school. But we don't focus on individual members. We need to be organizing. So we help our members to organize their bioregions, including that they can set up their own place-based hubs in the design school, something I talked about a few minutes ago. And as of right now, we have a large number of place-based hubs that were set up by our members this year. Some of them were set up last year and have been integrated into the new structures as we updated our platform. And new place-based hubs are being created all the time. So as we move through the learning journey, we will also encourage those members who are organizing in their local places to set up their own place-based hubs during the learning journey, so that we can have a truly planetary network of bioregions as we do the work of regenerating the Earth through collapse. So these immersive experiences, what are they? What do we mean by this? Well, there is a very strong limitation to what you can achieve in an online learning space. Webinars and Zoom calls and breakout rooms are phenomenal, but they don't get us nearly far enough. So we're going to have an entire month, 2 different times during the learning journey, where we're going to be organizing with our members physical gatherings in person that get us offline and into the real world. These physical gatherings will be designed to help us come into deeper personal relationships with each other and with the places, which means they will increase the community resilience among the participants of the learning journey. And they will ground us in real-world contexts where our members live and attempt to live out this work, where what we do actually matters. Said another way, these immersive experiences will be about helping us to feel the collapse socially and ecologically that is happening in each of the places where our members live, and also to feel the regenerative potentials as the collapse breaks down the dying system, where we can plant seeds to give birth to the new world. Now, participants in the learning journey don't have to attend these immersive experiences. Participation will be optional, although obviously it will be highly valuable, and I think that we'll see that people will really want to attend. But just so that you know that we're structuring the learning journey so that even if you can't attend a physical gathering, you can still participate in all of these online spaces where you will learn and relate to a lot of people in highly valuable ways. So these immersive experiences, where will they be when we have a network of people organizing on 5 continents? What will they look like? Who is going to be there? Well, that's a little secret that we're going to share with the participants of the learning journey because we have something really exciting in mind, but it will depend on the self-organizing of the participants itself. So where will they be is partially going to be dependent on who shows up. What will they look like will take many forms in different places. Who's going to be there depends on you and whether you show up and if you invite others. So for now, we're not going to talk more about these immersive experiences. We're going to share them with the participants of the learning journey, but we feel deep transformative potential, and we're really excited about it. So to summarize, our vision for 2026 in the design school is to continue scaffolding the structure of Earth regenerations toward the planetary scale by supporting the stewarding of the planetary network of bioregions in all of the ways that we've mentioned so far, but also through our learning journey to weave a tapestry of human relationships that become stronger, more intimate, and more real, and that is place-based for local organizing, but also crucially, collapse accepting, so that people are doing regenerative work based on reality and what's happening in their local context, so that real Earth regeneration becomes possible on the ground in the places where they live. So that's what we wanted to share with you in this video for the vision that we have for the design school in 2026. Thank you for watching. We look forward to collaborating with you in the new year. We hope to see you in our learning journey as well as all of our community spaces. And onward, fellow humans.